When the Melbourne Public Library first opened its doors in 1856, the colony of Victoria was a man's world. Male immigrants far outnumbered female. Women were discouraged from walking in the streets unaccompanied, and if they did, were often assumed to be in some way disturbing the peace. Community cultural resources were limited in the developing city, and even more so for women. The public library was open to all persons over the age of 14, giving colonists an opportunity previously lacking in the young city: free access to reading materials and knowledge. There were already subscription circulating libraries in town, but rates of female membership were low, with subscriptions often out of reach for middle class or unmarried women. The new library received excited and positive reviews from the press.
We hail it at once as a proof and a pledge of this country's advancement. We earnestly recommend the advantages it freely offers to every man in Melbourne. This is true civilisation.
Within a few years of opening, plans were underway to expand the library. In 1858, prominent entertainer and politician George Coppin asked the Legislative Assembly as to whether it were the intention of government to devote any portion of the new building for a ladies' reading room. Coppin's request struck a chord in the community, prompting an outpouring of appreciation from the press and from women in Melbourne.
Allow me to express the pleasure I feel from reading in your journal that there is to be a ladies' reading room in the public library, and also my sincere and hearty thanks to the Honourable Member Mr. Coppin, who took such interest in it as to propose it. A lady cannot now enter the library and take notes from any book she pleases, without drawing upon herself observation from the many masculine eyes that are there, or perhaps, worse still, find herself the next day the object of notice in the daily papers.
Mr. Coppin's motion of a ladies' reading room in the public library was a response to a public wish which has been often expressed. As we are fortunate enough to possess a really free library, it is a most indefensible limitation of its advantages to virtually deny their enjoyment to women.
It is most unpleasant when visiting the library to be stared at as a curiosity. It seems necessary, under existing circumstances, that a separate room should be provided, until such time shall arrive when men will not consider a woman who reads anything more solid than a poem or a novel as meddling with things that do not concern her.
The Public Library trustees received the feedback loud and clear, demonstrated in their 1858 annual report.
A sum of £11,000 would complete the wing, now in progress. It will supply 1. Chambers for the librarian, and 2. A reading room for ladies. The want of such accommodation has been the subject of frequent complaints.
Plans for the 1859 extension to the existing reading room included a pavilion, which according to the Argus newspaper was to exclusively be used as a ladies' reading room. The pavilion, though shown on Joseph Reed's architectural drawings, was not constructed. Instead, the extended reading room itself contained an area dedicated to the ladies. There does not seem to be a picture of this area, but we do know what reading materials the ladies had ready access to. The 1861 catalogue of the Melbourne Public Library contains a map of the Queen's Reading Room, showing where different subject areas may be found on the shelves. In the southwest corner of the room there is a space dedicated to the ladies, housing topics deemed suitable to the interests of female readers: theology, poetry and prose, rural and domestic arts, architecture, and art. Not a separate room or building as originally intended, the ladies' area was separated from the general reading room by a curtain. But as time went on, not everyone found the dedicated ladies' space to be the best solution for welcoming women into the library. It was increasingly felt that women should be able to wander the library as freely as men did, instead of being partitioned away.
Nowadays, one often sees ladies helping themselves to books from various quarters in the library, and sitting down to read where they find it most convenient. expressing a tacit dissent from the idea that they should confine themselves to a ladies' room, furnished with picture books suitable to their limited understandings.
After 1882, there is little further mention of the ladies' room to be found. The 1886 expansion of the South Wing created an additional reading room, providing space in the library for a further 26,000 books. In these plans, there is no mention of any area dedicated to the ladies. The ladies' reading room itself has left no physical trace. The newly restored Ian Potter Queen's Hall provides an open, accessible space and collection to be enjoyed equally by all who visit State Library Victoria.